We have already seen in the previous section that when you use JSX, the compiler converts the JSX into React.createElement. For example, I have this import React from React, and if I have a function where I'm trying to get an h1, this is what the JSX looks like. And if we see the React.createElement syntax, it looks something like this. But with React 17, now it converts the code into this. Now the first line which you see is the import JSX as the underscore JSX. But this is something which you do not need to import. The actual code now is converted by the compiler, looks something like this, where you have the return JSX and you see the h1 and children says hi. Remember that the first import is inserted by the compiler when you write the code. This you never see in your app.js. This happens behind the scene. This is executed by the compiler. This is a new feature of JSX Transform. Repeating what I have just mentioned, that earlier we had React.createElement that was getting executed even when you write JSX. In the background, that's how the elements are created. But now the React compiler uses the JSX in different way. So what is the advantage of this particular syntax? The advantage is because now there is no React.createElement. It means we don't import React for JSX and still the code works. Let me just show you that. This is a React 17 application. If I open the package.json, you see that the React version is 17.0.1. Now, ideally, when you run the code, you would see the very first line is import React from React. But right now, I have already written some JSX here. You see that new JSX transform, no React import. This statement is the JSX. If I run this, it is running absolutely fine. Let's see the output. So without import of React, the JSX can work because of this new JSX transform. This does not mean that React.createElement is not there. It is there, and if you have to use it without JSX, you can use it. In fact, the new JSX transform is something which is handled automatically. When you do not want to use JSX, you are anyway going to write React.createElement. The advantages of this new transform is you don't need to import React for JSX. You may need React for other things though, and that is a different story. Like you may use the use state or any other hook or something which is dependent on React, then you will be importing. But at least for JSX, you do not import React. But let's say in this particular code which you see right now, there is something more than JSX. Then you may need the import of React. So again, when there is only JSX where you needed to import React, now with the new JSX transform, that isn't the case. And because React is not imported, in such cases, it improves the bundle size. The Create React app version 4.0 onwards use the new transform feature. Now if I ask a question about this lecture, then what is the advantage of the new JSX transform? The advantages of this new transform is you don't need to import React for JSX. You may need React for other things though, and that is a different story. Like you may use the use state or any other hook or something which is dependent on React, then you will be importing. But at least for JSX, you do not import React.